By now, you've probably seen footage of Elon Musk's remarks at the New York Times Deal Book Summit last night. This is an annual summit that brings together business leaders, and several of them are interviewed on stage. Now, normally it's not very newsworthy, certainly not anything that I would pay attention to, or you would probably pay attention to. Anytime you gather together a bunch of corporate CEOs and business owners, you typically get a lot of carefully choreographed language. It's all very brand safe by design. Nothing interesting is happening. It's sort of designed so that nothing interesting will happen. But this year's Deal Book Summit was unique, mainly because of this one moment. It came during Elon Musk's interview with CNBC host Andrew Ross Sorkin. Sorkin began by asking Musk about the ongoing advertiser boycott of X, formerly known as Twitter, and whether Musk is desperate to win those advertisers back. And he was certainly expecting to hear some kind of response about what Musk is going to do to get those advertisers to come back. But instead, here's what Musk said in response. Watch.
And you're clarifying this now, but there's a public perception that that was part of a apology tour, if you will. That this had been said online. There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go yourself.
But
go yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
Well, let me ask you then.
That's how I feel. Don't advertise.
Now, there's more to that clip, which we'll play in a little bit. But for now, what you just heard is Elon Musk telling the CEO of Disney and many other CEOs in no uncertain terms to go F themselves. And as far as Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, goes, this is the head of one of the most powerful entertainment companies on the planet. And Bob Iger was apparently in the audience when Musk said that, which is awesome. But Musk wasn't just talking to him, of course. He was delivering the same message to every other corporate advertiser that has suspended advertising on X as a way to force him to restore the old censorship regime of Twitter. And as of now, the list of advertisers boycotting the platform includes more than 100 companies, including some of the largest corporations on the planet. And Musk was telling all of these corporations, which are now clearly trying to destroy him for political reasons, to go to hell. Now, it goes without saying that nothing like this has really happened before, especially not at a summit like that. And that's why Andrew Ross Sorkin, the journalist on stage with him, was completely shell-shocked. He could barely get a word out. In the business world, what Musk did is like unthinkable. The owners of major corporations aren't exactly known for standing on principle, even when that principle could destroy the business model of their entire company. It doesn't happen very often. That's what Elon Musk did. And also, mainstream journalists like Sorkin certainly cannot conceive of anyone actually standing up to corporations like Disney, because these are all subservient, masochistic little weaklings who bow to our corporate overlords every day. And they are shocked to see anybody do otherwise. At the same time, what was even more interesting than Musk's remarks and what ultimately proved his point was how the corporate news media responded to what Musk said. They were universally outraged. They didn't even try to hide their disdain, even though Musk was not addressing them specifically. But they were offended on behalf of all the corporate advertisers, the dear, poor corporate advertisers that were just insulted in this way. And that's kind of odd when you think about it, or at least it should be odd. After all, these media outlets claim to be interested in reporting the news. They claim that they're not simply vessels for corporate messaging. That's what they claim. But last night, they couldn't help themselves. One after another, these outlets unloaded on Elon Musk in the most disparaging possible terms. It was clearly personal for them. Watch.
Just moments ago tonight, Elon Musk, in an interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin at the New York Times Deal Book Summit, saying this to advertisers who've left X over his endorsement of anti-Semitic content.
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go yourself.
But
go yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is.
Seems pretty clear. Out front now, Dana Hall, Bloomberg senior reporter who covers Elon Musk. So, Dana, the New York Times reporting that this anti-Semitic post could possibly cost X up to $75 million in lost ad revenue this year. Meantime, Musk is warning that the advertising boycott could kill the company. He's not happy about it. It's fascinating for him to say that, of course, based on why the boycott happened.
Now, a number of advertisers have fled Twitter recently, not just Disney, but also Paramount, NBC Universal, Comcast, Lionsgate, Warner Brothers Discovery, and a host of others. Nobody wants to be around this toxic landscape at the moment. And now you have Musk stepping up with this. It's just a phenomenal thing for him to say, considering that advertising represents the bulk of Twitter's revenue still. Moreover, Musk's plan is to move away from all of that revenue and try and get into more of a subscription model in which he'd have an everything app. Yeah, like people are going to trust him now. And moreover, people would pay regular fees for different services. Yeah, like people are going to give him their credit card numbers at this point. You've got to wonder what he was thinking.
Caleb Silver, and this is so interesting because this is one of the first times that Musk has very directly taken on this issue that has built and built over the last several weeks about these advertisers, these big companies, these big corporations saying, wait a second, I don't want my content next to this anti-Semitic stuff that Musk has allowed to be on the platform.
Yeah, and if you listen to the entire quote from that DealBook interview, he said that several times, go after yourself several times, and then he said, hi, Bob. We could only assume he was talking to Bob Iger.
Bob Iger, head of Disney.
The head of Disney, which was one of the big advertisers that pulled. But you mentioned other advertisers. We're talking about some of the biggest advertisers out there, including Comcast, the parent company of this network, Warner Brothers, Apple, Coca-Cola, others have pulled their ads. And he also said in that interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin, I wish they would stop. I wish they would stop advertising. And then he dropped the F-bomb. So clearly putting his finger in the eye of the people that pay the bills to run X, which is an advertising delivery mechanism, or was until he bought it. And now we don't know really what he's trying to do with it.
At the end of the clip, there's a disclosure that Elon Musk was calling out Comcast at the DealBook Summit. And Comcast, incidentally, is the parent company of NBC Universal. And then NBC News just so happens to accuse Elon Musk of hating Jewish people. And then there's the deranged segment from KTLA in Los Angeles, the flagship station of the CW television network, in which the analyst explains that no one will ever trust Elon Musk ever again because he's such a horrible person. He's created a toxic landscape. They even suggest that Musk is going to try and steal customers' credit card numbers because he told off Bob Iger. So not just attacking him for what he said, they're saying preemptively that if he pivots X to a subscription model, that you shouldn't trust him because he's going to rip you off. And this kind of demented coverage has been relentless. It's been coming from every single corporate media outlet. Fox News accused Musk of anti-Semitism last week, for example. Just a couple days ago, ABC News ran a segment in which the anchor and panelists took turns trashing Elon Musk and the platform. And the segment ended with ABC News urging the White House, as well as everyone in the ABC News audience, to abandon the platform. They could not have been more explicit about their activism. Watch.
Now, Musk facing some backlash here after he called a post on X repeating a common conspiracy theory about Jewish people. Musk called it the actual truth. And then that post prompted some major advertisers to pause their ads on X. And also today, the mayor of Paris deciding to quit the platform, which she called a gigantic global sewer. So let's bring back our panel.
Yes, you have freedom of speech, but there are consequences for your freedom of speech when your freedom of speech causes harm. And what we saw was that today, when he landed, he said a quote on X where he says, quote, action speaks louder than words. For me, this is just a crisis management stunt, crisis management 101. We can see clearly the reason why that he's doing it is to really shore up advertisers. If action speaks louder than words, I would actually challenge Elon Musk to really reevaluate and to bring back the content moderation department in full on X.
And by the way, we've asked the White House if they get rid of their X accounts, like the official accounts, and they said nothing to announce. But on that same day, the president did launch a Threads account. So, it's always worth asking the questions, I guess.
I was going to add, this is something the everyday person can just do on themselves. They don't need a coordinated attack to go through corporate America to boycott. If you're upset about what Elon Musk is doing, just get off of X.
Right? You take a little personal responsibility. You have your own power, right?
Now, what's extraordinary about that clip, beyond what you just saw, is what they didn't talk about. And if you watch all 7 minutes of the full segment, at no point did ABC News disclose that the parent company of ABC News is the Walt Disney Company. Somehow they didn't mention that their boss, Bob Iger, had suspended his company's ads on Twitter. The conflict of interest that's really evident there never came up somehow. They were too busy telling you to abandon Twitter at all costs because it's a quote-unquote sewer. And for good measure, they're begging the White House to do the same. Now, it goes without saying that ABC News never once mentions what Media Matters did in order to smear X as a, quote, sewer. They don't talk about Musk's lawsuit against Media Matters for misleading the advertisers on the platform about this. ABC News doesn't tell their audience that Media Matters went to great lengths to engineer a scenario that would put corporate advertisements near this objectionable content on their timeline. So this is something that Media Matters engineered. This is all invented by them. You're just supposed to take it on faith that X is somehow the only platform where you could engineer a scenario like this, even as Instagram's algorithm has been shown to connect pedophiles with child pornography, which is something that, by the way, you would think would provoke quite a bit more outrage and advertiser boycotts and all the rest of it, but really it provoked none of that. The October 15th tax deadline has come and gone. I know many of you might be dreading the stress of filing your taxes. Filing your taxes can be a long, excruciating process, but if you fail to file, you'll start to pile penalties on top of your tax debt, and that's why you got to check out Tax Network USA. The team at Tax Network USA has a track record of success. They have reduced tax debt for numerous clients totaling over $1 billion. Whether you're looking at $10,000 or $1 million tax debt, they can help you with a settlement. It doesn't matter if you haven't filed in 1 year, 5 years, even a whole decade. Tax Network USA is equipped to secure the best settlement for you. The expert attorneys and tax professionals at Tax Network USA can help resolve all tax cases, no matter how they started. Don't let tax debt control your life any longer. Take the first step toward resolving your tax issues by visiting taxnetworkusa.com/Walsh. That's taxnetworkusa.com/Walsh today. Are you a few years or decades out of school and wondering, what the heck did I even learn? What was the point? You might even be thinking, I don't have the time to learn something new. Well, if that's you, you're not alone, and it's not too late. Hillsdale College is offering more than 40 free online courses right now. You can learn about the works of C.S. Lewis, the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, or the history of the ancient Christian church with Hillsdale College's online courses. If you're not sure where to start, check out American Citizenship and Its Decline with Victor Davis Hanson. In this 8-lecture course, Victor explores the history of citizenship in the West and the threats that it faces today. Threats like the erosion of the middle class, the disappearance of our borders, the growth of an unaccountable deep state, and the rise of globalist organizations. The course is self-paced so that you can start whenever and wherever you want. Start your free course of American Citizenship and Its Decline with Victor Davis Hanson today. Go to hillsdale.edu/Walsh to enroll. There's no cost. It's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/Walsh to enroll. hillsdale.edu/Walsh. Now, what you can gather from the sheer dishonesty of the clips I've showed, and many more like them, is that the corporate news media understands, for good reason, that Musk's criticism of mega corporations is also an attack on them. In some cases, that's because these media companies are directly owned by the corporations that Musk is attacking. In other cases, because these media companies are completely beholden to these corporations for their own advertising dollars. That's why what Musk said at the DealBook Summit was important. It wasn't just a cathartic declaration of war against corporate censors. It also exposed many of these so-called journalists and news organizations that are completely beholden to these censors, which is why they're telling you not to trust Elon Musk anymore because, he was mean to Bob Iger. Meanwhile, they're running endless advertisements for big pharma. And yet, despite that, you're supposed to trust them when they report on Ozempic or on the 10th version of the COVID booster. You're also supposed to blindly trust their experts on disinformation, whom they've hired directly from the FBI and the CIA. These are people who have lied to your face for years about everything from Russiagate to the pandemic and everything in between. And now they're trying to destroy Elon Musk for one tweet out of tens of thousands of tweets that he clarified almost immediately. And he also apologized at the DealBook Summit for his remarks being poorly worded. Not that these people care about that. Not that he owed any kind of apology at all. In fact, if there's any real issues with anything that Elon Musk said at the summit, it's that he apologized, which he shouldn't have done. But the truth is, They were never upset about what Elon Musk said about the ADL and other left-wing groups like it. They're not even really pretending he's anti-Semitic anymore. They seem to recognize that that would be an odd charge to make after Israel's prime minister rolled out the welcome mat for Elon Musk the other day. So now they're back to old-fashioned mafia tactics. They're not hiding the fact that they despise him for exposing how corporate control of the media works. That's why they're smearing him as someone who's going to steal your credit card. That's why they're smirking about some random mayor in Europe leaving X as if that matters. Their tactics are desperate and also obvious. Now, a little while ago, I told you that I'd play some more of Elon Musk's remarks, and this is the part of his comments that didn't get as much play on social media, but it's just as important as what he told Bob Iger and the other advertisers. Watch.
I mean, if the company fails because of an advertiser boycott, it will fail because of an advertiser boycott, and that will be what bankrupted the company, and that's what everybody on Earth will know.
What do you think then of the? This goes back to the idea of trust, though.
Then it'll be gone, and it'll be gone because of an advertiser boycott.
But you recognize that some of those people are going to say that they didn't feel comfortable on the platform, and I just wonder and ask you and think about that for a second.
Tell it to the judge.
But the judge is going to be
the judge is the public,
and you think that the public is going to say that Disney is making a mistake.
Yes.
And they're going to boycott Disney?
They already are.
Well, there are some that are for lots of different reasons. But you think that this is going to, that you have the, this goes to actually the interesting of power and leverage.
Let the chips fall where they may. Let the chips fall where they may.
Well, it's not a moment that the major media outlets are going to play on loop. They're going to fixate on the big F-bomb and try to portray Elon Musk as some kind of unhinged lunatic. But this part of Musk's conversation with Sorkin was just as important, if not more important, than what he told Bob Iger. Disney does not create anything of value. In fact, they create negative value. More people than ever recognize that now. At the very same DealBook Summit where Musk spoke, Bob Iger made that very clear. As if to prove that point, here's a CNN headline summarizing what Iger said. Quote, Disney CEO Bob Iger says number one priority is turning around Marvel, acknowledges too many sequels after box office misses. So that's Disney's top priority. They're going to work on cranking out more Marvel movies, flooded with left-wing propaganda that nobody's going to watch. They're not attempting to launch rocket ships to Mars like Elon Musk is. They're entirely focused on Marvel films and putting as much gay propaganda and children's content as they can. And people are rejecting it. Movies are bombing. Disney Plus recently lost more than 10 million subscribers. By contrast, here's what Elon Musk has been doing. Watch.
And Tesla's gotten to where it's gotten with no advertising at all.
I understand that.
Tesla currently sells twice as much in terms of electric vehicles as the rest of electric car makers in the United States combined. Tesla has done more to help the environment than all other companies combined. It would be fair to say that, therefore, as a leader of the company, I've done more for the environment than everyone else, and any single human on Earth.
How do you feel about that? No,
how do I feel about that?
Yeah, no, I'm asking you personally how you feel about that, because this goes, we're talking about power and influence and...
I'm saying what I care about is the reality of goodness, not the perception of it. And what I see all over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil. F*** them. Okay?
And he's right about that, even by the left's own logic. I mean, he's done more to save the planet than any other person. That's hard to dispute. And given that these people would say that climate change is like the number one issue in the world and the fate of the world hangs in the balance, if they really believe that, then you would think that they would say, it doesn't matter what Elon Musk says or what he tweets. He's saving the planet. We should all support him, support everything he does. None of Elon Musk's critics have an answer to that. He's accomplished things that help humanity, again, even by their own logic. They're not doing that. They're doing the exact opposite. And these are the people that Elon Musk can't stand. They're the people that we also should not tolerate. What Musk did yesterday was to declare war against the executives responsible for debasing our culture, force-feeding us a stream of lobotomized garbage while they play the role of censor. He made the simple and obvious point that a CEO who's fixated on Marvel movies should not be in charge of free speech in this country. Entertainment executives shouldn't be telling everyone else what hate speech is or demanding censorship. No corporate CEO should have that power. They should be worried about their own products. That's it. They shouldn't spend a second thinking about what you can say online. This is not their role at all. But for a very long time now, CEOs have had that kind of power to censor you. They simply apply pressure to media organizations and social media companies, and they get what they want. They use coercion and blackmail to effectively destroy the First Amendment. And they can always claim that it has nothing to do with the First Amendment because these are private companies imposing these speech restrictions, on their own platforms or with their own money. But the truth is that the distinction between the corporate world and the government has become increasingly irrelevant. The Democrats use corporations to impose speech restrictions that they could not impose legislatively. That's the way this works. But Elon Musk has challenged the whole regime as explicitly as he possibly could. And now, as he said, the chips will fall where they may. If people don't want free speech, if they want the Marvel guy to tell them what to think, then free speech will die. Twitter will collapse. Shortly afterward, your ability to say what you think on the internet will go away as well. Now, this is preventable, but it takes some work. It takes people standing up and saying what they know is true, regardless of the personal cost they might face. And that's been happening more and more. It's happened with the gender debate. It's happened with Target, and Bud Light. It's happened with affirmative action, which is now broadly unpopular in this country. It's happened with Ukraine funding and all kinds of issues. And now, as Elon Musk said, people need to turn on these corporate censors who have silenced them for so long. These companies need to suffer real consequences for what they are trying to do. And for that to happen, Americans need to do what Elon Musk did last night and tell all these would-be overlords in no uncertain terms that they need to go F themselves. Hey, YouTube, thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like access to my full show with no ads, you should go to dailywire.com and use promo code Walsh to get 2 months free on all annual plans. See you there.